Hey, welcome back everybody to another Ask Dr. Jason with me, Dr. Jason from Trinity Chiropractic. Today we're going to cover a topic that one of my patients, he left the question inside of our drop box in the office, and Nate asked us this question. He said, what are the most common sources of toxins that people are exposed to on a daily basis? And then also, how do we limit that or decrease our exposure to toxins? So that's a great question, Nate, and thank you very much for leaving it in our drop box. Well, in order to help people understand what are some toxins you're exposed to, let's define what a toxin is. And so if you go online and you look it up on Webster Dictionary, a toxin is just generally anything that's poisonous to your body or is considered a poison. And so if you look up the definition of a poison is something that will cause illness inside of your body, or it may even lead into death. And so, using those definitions, we're going to go through 5 of the most common sources of toxins that you may be exposed to every single day and have no idea you're even being exposed to these. And then at the very end, I'll give some recommendations about how you can minimize exposure to toxins. So number 1 on our list is the air you are breathing. So air quality it can be very, very toxic depending on what your job is. So for instance, if you're breathing in a lot of exhaust fumes from heavy machinery all day, possibly from cars or public transportation like the bus, those things are filled with toxins, and every time you can smell it, you're breathing it in, meaning you're breathing in more and more chemicals. Perhaps you're somebody that remodels homes for a living, and again, you might be exposed to asbestos. I'm sure many of you have heard of that before, but asbestos is highly toxic to our body. And when you get that and you breathe it into your lungs, it can lead into lung cancer later in life. Cigarette smoke. Obviously, we've known this for a long time. There's warnings on the packs of cigarettes themselves, but if you are a cigarette smoker, you are inhaling toxins that can eventually lead into things like emphysema and lung cancer. Secondhand smoke, same thing. There's many warnings out there about breathing in secondhand smoke because of the toxins that you will be breathing in your body. One other thing you may not even be aware of or even thinking about are things like potpourris, things that you spray in the air that smell good, or scented candles. Maybe you light them around your house so your house smells good. Don't get me wrong, I understand those things smell really good, but every time you can smell it, you're breathing in chemicals. And if you don't believe me, look on the label of what you are spraying in the air. It will be a list of chemicals. Same thing with the candles. I mean, you're breathing in chemicals that are literally being vaporized into the air, and that's why it smells good to your body. Unfortunately, it's loaded with chemicals. Number 2 on the list, things that we are ingesting or food. You probably also are very aware that a lot of foods that you get, especially produce, are sprayed with herbicides and pesticides directly on the skin, and if you consume that, it's going inside of your body. Also, there are things like preservatives that are in your foods. There are food additives. There are things like food coloring and food dyes. Again, all these things are toxic to your body. So very, very carefully, you need to read your labels, and you need to find out which foods are better to buy organically. And there are some that you can buy non-organic that are less sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. In fact, go to Google, look up the Dirty Dozen, and then the Clean 15. Those 2 lists will separate that for you. Number 3 on the list, liquids are things that you ingest or drink on a daily basis. Again, there's toxicity in some of these things you're putting in your body. Again, there might be some preservatives, food coloring, food dyes, things like that you're ingesting every single day when you're drinking whatever it is you're drinking. Tap water, again, I've run through this list before on Ask Dr. Jason in the past, but there are things in tap water that, again, are toxic to your body, and they don't get filtered out when you drink the tap water. Also on that list, alcohol clearly affects your ability. So your main detoxifying organ is clearly your liver. Every time you have a glass of wine or a beer, or if you're a binge drinker, again, alcohol will negatively affect your body, and it can affect your liver mainly. Also on the list, number 4, beauty products or cosmetics or things you're rubbing into your skin. There are so many chemicals, and I highly encourage you to investigate this. Look at what you're putting on your body every single day and read about the chemicals that you're putting on your skin, because if it's on your skin, it can get absorbed into your body and eventually into your bloodstream. But a lot of chemicals are on these things. So deodorants, for example, are full of aluminum. Some of the beauty products have other things going on. So again, you got to research these things. And then also there's alternatives that are safer that you can buy pretty much anywhere. Number 5, the last thing we're going to cover today, medications, supplements, even some vitamins and supplements you may be taking, and even vaccines or vaccinations. We got to talk about that really quick too. Let's start with medications. You know, maybe it's something like an ibuprofen or an Advil you're taking every single day, but currently those things have been being investigated. There's reports coming out now that even taking an Advil or 2 or 3 a day will lead into some sort of problem later down the road. So it might cause something wrong with your liver or kidneys. It might affect your stomach lining, creating ulcers. But the research is now out there, and we know that reaching for those things every day have long-term health consequences. Just for instance, imagine this. You may have heard of somebody doing this, but if you went to Walgreens and you bought a bottle of Advil and you took the whole bottle right now, you better pray that you get somebody that finds out, rushes you to the hospital and gets your stomach pumped, because if you swallow a whole bottle of Advil, there's a good chance you won't be waking up tomorrow. Also, going into the supplements, yes, I know a lot of people say take this supplement or take this vitamin or do something like one of these things. However, again, research is now showing not all supplements are created equal. Some supplements have toxic fillers in them and additives in them, or even food coloring and dyes in them to make them look more attractive. So again, you've got to understand a quality supplement versus something that's very cheap and generic, that's filled with things that you may not want in your body. Last thing, vaccines. Again, look them up. For the love of goodness, go to Google, research what is in a vaccine. You'll find out. But thimerosal, which is mercury, there's aluminum, there's other things like Triton X100, which is a detergent. Formaldehyde gets in there. Propylene glycol, which is actually something very similar to what you would find in antifreeze, which is the thing we put in our car. Lots of different chemicals are in those. So again, just go ahead, research it, look it up online, and you'll find out more. So those are the 5 major things that I would recommend that we have to try to decrease our exposure to every single day. And so those are the top 5 things that you may be exposed to on a single day basis that we want to cut back. And again, thank you very much, Nate, for giving me that question. If you have a question for our segment, Ask Dr. Jason, feel free to email us, call us, stop in, leave it in our Dropbox. We look forward to answering another question next week. Thank you so much.